So I'm going to do a quick video of how to put a block of colour or a stripe and patina it with nothing more than a bit of paint, some sandpaper and some masking tape. Firstly, obviously you need to degrease it with some panel wipe, make sure it's all cleaned, ready, and then start masking out kind of your design. Right, so the stripe's masked off. Now I want rust underneath the stripe and I'm going to weather it. So what I'm going to do is apply some rusty paint first, but I'm not going to go to the very edge. What I'm going to do is I'm going to concentrate the rusty paint in the middle. I'm going to do that for both sides. I'm going to leave this to cure before putting the top coat of cream over the top. And then once the cream's over the top and then that's dry, I'll be able to sand through and expose rust all the way down the side. So you've got to apply obviously the rusty paint as thin as possible. Rusty paint's on, it's dried, as you can hear, and then it's a case of putting whatever colour over the top. A thin version if possible, so thin it down a little bit. See, it's quite watery, and what you're trying to do is put a small amount of the colour on. Right, it's now just a case of leaving it to dry till it's touch dry, taking the masking tape off, and then leaving it to cure. Then you come to sand it, but obviously as you can see it's probably going to rain fairly soon, so I'm going to take the masking tape off and leave it till tomorrow. The cream's dry, followed the instructions for the cream paint and left it for the appropriate time. So it's time now to kind of patina it. Obviously there's a little layer of rusty paint underneath, a small layer. So we're going to sand through. Now ideally I kind of want to take out as much of the hard line as possible, but leave a few bits in so it looks like it's kind of weathered through. Additionally to that, if there's any kind of areas where your line's a bit of a mess or it's a bit kind of fat in places where it shouldn't be, you can correct that now with the sanding. That's why when masking it, it was just kind of a rough stripe. Additionally to that, also the wing mirrors, they're going to be just a separate block of colour, so I'm going to show you how to just literally patina on a wing mirror, because obviously this is kind of an unnatural patina, and the reason being is because I want the car to stand out. If I'd done a natural patina on this, it probably wouldn't stand out that well. It just looked like a rusty Lupo, and there's loads of them are already. So I'm going to patina this now up close, show you how to do it. It's dead easy. Again, I'm going with my choice of 2 grits. I've got a 120, which is going to knock off any high spots or any bits where the roller's kind of left any kind of contaminants. And then I'm going to polish it up, kind of, I say polish, with some 320, and that will just feather it out nicely and kind of remove any marks potentially left by the 120. So I'll do this up close so you can see, and then we'll step back and I'll do the rest of the stripe. Right, so hopefully you'll be able to see from there, I've kind of faded out some of the edges, but not a lot of it. I've also kind of done a few random patches here and there, but I left a lot of cream on. I've made sure that the rusty paint's broke through in a few places on the cream, and that's just by not sanding it as much as the rest, whereas I've kind of sanded it more here and there. Now the reason I've done that is because once the rusty paint's activated, it should real pop against the cream. So light colours I tend to leave quite a lot of light colour on, but you'll see once I activate why I've done it like that. So that'll do. If you wanted to do a more natural patina, obviously this isn't natural, this is just to kind of stand out as much of an eyesore as possible so people see the advertising on it, because that's all I'm doing, I'm driving it around. But if you want to do a more natural patina, you would aim to rust kind of, or sand through more of the top section and then come down and fade it out. And then again, if there's a high spot which is there, you would probably rust that quite a lot, and then maybe triangulate it down the door a little bit, so you'd probably sand in here, sand in more kind of around there, and then just do a little bit of fade out. Same with the front, because obviously the way kind of the rust will work in the States, if you're doing that kind of paint job, is from the top down, because obviously it's the sun that's causing the issue. If you're in the UK and you're trying to do a more realistic one, it's probably rot, so you can obviously dab in a bit of paint around wheel arches, around bottoms of doors and stuff. It's just down to personal choice, but wherever you want kind of the rust to be at the end of it is kind of the areas you need to expose the rusty paint first. So this will work really nicely. I'm going to show you how to kind of do a semi-natural patina on the wind mirror, because it's probably the only thing that's going to be naturally kind of done. And then obviously once the stripe's done, we're going to activate it. However, the activation will be in a different video, because we're going to activate the whole car at once, because I've got to do videos of how to do stencils, etc. So yeah, let's crack on with sanding. Right, so the wind mirror, the aim is to leave a lot of the cream on, but have more rust coming through the top areas, and then just a few specks coming out of the lower. Now I'm going to do these by hand, again using the 120 first, followed by the 320, and then in any awkward areas I'm going to use Scotch Brite.